Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular council meeting, the last council meeting of the year for December 14th, 2020. I'm accompanied tonight. Cette séance est tenue en huis clos à cause de la pandémie et conformément à l'arrêté ministériel 2020-074 du 2 octobre 2020. I'm joined tonight by Councillor Dino Mazzoni, Councillor Elizabeth Yulin, Councillor Maria Torres, Councillor Colleen Feeney, as well as notre directrice générale, Maître Raphaël Distasio, notre greffier, Maître Claude Gilbert, et notre chargée de communication, Madame Manon Schalk. Alors, si je peux avoir quelqu'un proposer l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. L'adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du 14 décembre 2020 tel que présenté.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Monsieur le maire, j'appuie la proposition.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
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 Merci. L'approbation des procès-verbaux, s'il vous plaît.
Monsieur le maire, j'ai lu en anglais, mais je vais le traduire ici, excuse-moi. Monsieur le maire, je mentionne qu'on fait l'approbation du procès-verbal pour les réunions suivantes, pour la réunion régulière du 30 novembre 2020, ainsi que la réunion spéciale du 10 décembre 2020.
Parfait, merci, conseiller Mazzoni. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Parfait, merci. Seulement pour vous dire, la séance ordinaire du 30 novembre, c'est normal, mais la séance spéciale était pour donner l'avis de motion pour le règlement pour les taux de taxes pour l'année prochaine. OK? Il n'y a rien en correspondance. On passe tout de suite to report of the mayor. So good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous. Welcome to our regular council meeting. We will answer questions from the residents that have been submitted until 3 p.m. today on any topic. In the second question period, we'll take questions pertaining to the agenda submitted via our website during this meeting and any questions that may have arisen from the budget meeting that we just finished. Bienvenue à notre réunion régulière du conseil municipal. Nous répondrons aux questions des résidents soumises jusqu'à 15 heures aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Au cours de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives à l'ordre du jour seulement, soumises via notre site web lors de cette réunion. As we enter the holiday season, even with a bit of light and hope on the horizon in the form of a vaccine, the pandemic has changed and tainted our celebrations this year. So we won't be able to gather with our friends and family in one place to light the next candle on the menorah or to enjoy the pine scent of the Christmas tree and share a meal together as our happier celebrations usually entail. But don't lose hope. The light is visible on the horizon. And more importantly, don't toss out your good public health habits out the window. We didn't come this far to have it fall apart now with the viable endpoint in sight. Alors que nous avons commencé la saison des fêtes, même avec un peu d'espoir à l'horizon sous la forme d'un vaccin, la pandémie a changé et entaché nos célébrations de cette année. Nous ne pourrons pas réunir avec nos amis et notre famille au même endroit pour allumer la prochaine bougie sur le menorah ou pour profiter du parfum de pain de l'arbre de Noël et partager un repas ensemble comme nos célébrations plus heureuses impliquent habituellement. Mais ne perdez pas l'espoir. La lumière est visible à l'horizon. Et surtout, ne jetez pas vos bonnes habitudes de santé publique par la fenêtre. Nous ne sommes pas arrivés aussi loin pour le faire s'effondrer maintenant avec un point final viable sur le site. Pour nos équipes de personnel ici à Montréal-Ouest, qui travaillent dans des circonstances difficiles pour essayer de maintenir nos services aux résidents aussi normaux que possible, au nom de moi-même et du conseil, merci pour votre dévouement. Au nom de moi-même et de mon épouse Janet, je souhaite à notre équipe, à nos citoyens et toutes vos familles un temps de fête paisible, sûr et sain. Joyeux Noël et nous espérons tourner la page bientôt et viser une certaine normalité en 2021. For our staff here in Montreal-Ouest who work under difficult circumstances to try and keep our services to residents as normal as possible, on behalf of myself and council, thank you for your devotion. On behalf of myself and my wife, Janet, I want to wish our team, our citizens, and our families, and all your families, a peaceful, safe, and happy holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and we hope to turn the page on 2020 as soon as possible and aim for some normalcy in 2021. E desidero augurare al nostro personale, ai nostri cittadini e tutte le vostre famiglie un periodo di vacanze sereno, sicuro e in salute. Buon Natale, speriamo di ritornare alla normalità tutto l'anno prossimo. Thank you, merci. All right, that's that. We're going to go right into the first question period. So I'm going to read out the question and then I'm going to ask one of the counselors to address it. Okay, so the first question comes from Nancy Mackey, 108 Ballantyne North. The question, garbage collection change. Is the reason a change of companies or other? Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, I'll be happy to answer. Hi, Nancy. The reason we're changing companies is because we have to, we awarded a new contract. As the last one, we usually have contracts for 2-3 years. The other one expired, we had to award a new one. And this time around, we asked, when we went to tender, we asked for different options. And we're very happy that they gave us a really good, interesting options. And one of them is to have it the pickup on Thursday. The reason we wanted, and we find it's advantageous to pick up the day on Thursday, is that sometimes the garbage do not complete their rounds, or sometimes there are some issues. It gives public work an extra day to solve those issues, opposed to getting into the weekend. The other is also is a great advantage for people who go away on the to the countryside. Last time we had complaints that if the garbage is not picked up at 5, or maybe the garbage can needs to be brought up into the driveway, and people were going to the country, they couldn't do it. This time it gives residents as well as public works a day extra to do whatever they have to do with the garbage cans. So yes, we changed companies, it was overdue, and I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you're on mute.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Thank you very much for your question, Nancy McKay, and thank you very much, Councillor Torres, for answering. The second question comes from 2 people living at the same house. They were asked separately, from Sarah Carey and from Christopher Smith at 37 Westminster South. The question is, what will the schedule for groundbreaking and construction be like? What's the timeline of the whole operation? And the second question is, what businesses are permitted being considered with or without public say? And I'm assuming they're referring to the library lot project, the redevelopment at the corner of Westminster and Avon. So the land was sold on October 30th. The developer is currently working on his permit applications. As soon as they're deposited, the town will have a more detailed calendar of the work. And as soon as we have that information, we'll make sure we inform the residents. The Montreal-West Adult Library, to get to the second question, will be one of the 2 non-residential spaces. As for the other space, it's up to the developer whom he rents to, as long as he follows the town's regulations. For example, no funeral homes. The zoning bylaw that pertains to that space allows for institutional, municipal, and commercial usage, with commercial usage being further defined as retail, professional service, or food. Okay, thank you very much for your question, Sarah Carey and Christopher Smith. Third question comes from Susan Borer at 68 Promenade Courtney. Just curious, what is happening at the old and unused Bank of Montreal building, as I see lots of work going on inside? Thanks. So to answer the question, the transfer of ownership took place on August 13th. The commercial occupancy permit application was sent on August 14th, and the permit was issued on September 4th, 2020. It's going to be a dental care center. The permit application for interior renovations was sent on September 9th, and the permit was issued on September 29th, 2020. Thank you very much for your question, Susan Borer. Question number 4 comes from Anne McLaughlin, 59 Strathern. The problem of rats and other vermin around Westminster businesses is escalating and is spilling over on Strathern once again. On multiple occasions in the past months, I've seen rats running through yards and driveways, and at night and during the day. Most towns in Quebec do not allow food businesses to use domestic wheelie bins to store their garbage outside. The town has made aware of this problem for more than a decade. Why the inaction, and why does the town not require businesses to use secure waste disposal containers? Councillor Mazzoni, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Anne, for your question. And number one, if there is a rat issue regarding the type of waste collection, rest assured we'll conduct a deeper analysis while elaborating a plan of action following our waste management strategy. And of course, we'll inform Public Works to assess the situation. Secondly, if some businesses do not comply with our bylaw, we will intervene and have our public security officers look into the issue. Thank you for your question, Anne.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni, and thank you for your question, Anne McLaughlin. Question number 6 comes from Harold Knowles at 256 Percival Avenue. The Gazette reported that Beaconsfield Mayor George Burrell has said that his municipality has overpaid by $2 million to the City of Montreal and has retained a lawyer to pursue the issue. The overpayment results from a change to the algorithm in the 2020-2022 valuation rule, used to calculate payments by 16 demerged suburbs on the island of Montreal for shared services. Has there been any progress in getting a fair arrangement with the City of Montreal and the demerged municipalities recently? I don't want to get into Beaconsfield's issue, but to be clear, it relates not to an algorithm, but rather to an equilibration factor that existed in the past. Beaconsfield contends that the equilibration factor is still in effect, and the minister says it does not. The ASM, the Association of Suburban Municipalities, which I preside, has preferred to act as a whole and reach a negotiated settlement because, in all honesty, they're not doing anything illegal. It's unfair, but it's not illegal. So we feel as a group that a negotiated settlement is the best course of action. To that end, we've received confirmation from the minister just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, that we will be sitting at a negotiating table with Montreal beginning in January. And furthermore, the Minister of Municipal Affairs will have somebody supervise the proceedings, so we're not just going back and forth for no reason. Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Knowles. A question comes from Stan Carney, 449 Wolseley Avenue. Waited for the leaves to drop to evaluate new street lights. Compared to previous system, these lights cast less light, making the street less safe. With only 2 goosenecks for the whole street, it needs more. Same thing for Hudson. From my kitchen window, unable to see. Had no problems before the new system. Can you put in more lights or go back to the old system where everything was more bright? Others have shared the same views. Councillor Torres?
Yes. Hello, Mr. Carney. Just to let you know, or just give a little bit of background, that the lights were not installed when we did the reconstruction work on Wolseley. They were installed as a part of an infrastructure project in 2019, where Energer came to replace with the replacement program, and they installed these lights. The Energer project studied the whole town and decided to replace all the existing cover lights with new LED based on their assessment of our needs. Now, what they did is they replaced the type of lighting. They left it on the same pole. They left it the same amount of lights. They just changed it to LED. At least that's what the answer for Wolseley. They were not really changed. They're brighter, as a matter of fact. In Hudson, it might be a different problem. We will look into Hudson because it might be needing a new post, and we have to talk to Hydro-Quebec about that. But for Wolseley, it was just a replacement of lights. So that's all I can tell you right now. I hope I answered your question. Thank you so much, Mr. Carney.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Stan Carney. Question number 8 comes from Steve Donahue, 33 Campbell Avenue. Why can't the town clear the sidewalks, walking path across the tracks after snowstorms? Unfortunately, to answer that question, Mr. Donahue, we're not allowed to. Basically, the property, if you want, between the barriers belongs to, at this level crossing, belongs to CP, and the town is not allowed to intervene between the barriers. We've actually gotten in trouble in the past by accidentally clearing that, and we ended up getting a nice little reminder, an official reminder that we're not supposed to be touching that space between the barriers. So any issues, you can let us know, and we end up letting CP know, or you can let CP know directly that there's some issues there. But we're not allowed to clear that space between the barriers. Thank you for your question, Mr. Donahue. Question again from Stan Carney, 449 Wolseley Avenue. Tempo shelters. Worried about the lack of transparency with response to winter car shelters. The bias and prejudice in your answers suggest a closed-minded approach to this matter. A bylaw cannot be based on feelings and emotions, but facts and data, which you have not provided. Is Council open to review of this bylaw with a frank and open discussion? And if necessary, a referendum should be held to get a pulse of the people. Councillor Feeney, please.
Yes, thank you for your question, Mr. Carney. I did answer this last month, and as I mentioned last month, this is not something that is being considered this year. The reason we feel, as I will reiterate again, is that we feel that there are other alternatives to driveway clearing, such as contractors, and that it is the aesthetics of having a tempo that is not something we want for the town. And in fact, there's nothing wrong with having aesthetics guide your bylaws. In fact, for the SPAIP, which is the Site Planning and Architectural Integration Program, these are often based on ensuring a particular look and safeguarding a look of the town. So we feel that that is the aesthetics are the main reason. There are some safety concerns too, but the aesthetics are the main reason. And certainly that is justification for the bylaw. So thank you very much for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Feeney, and thank you for your question, Stan Carney. Question number 10 comes from Peter McLean. Mr. McLean asks two questions. First question had to do with a solution for bicycles on sidewalk. And I think this is the third time Mr. McLean asked that question, and it's been answered twice already. A second question that he asked he asked this question as well the past two times, and Councillor Torres would come back with an answer. So the question is, if a garbage can is going to be put beside the bus stop at Nelson and Westminster, the amount of litter, i.e. masks, which to my way of thinking are quite hazardous. Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, good evening, Mr. McLean. As I told you last time, I was going to look into it, and Public Works were analyzing whether it was possible to put a garbage can or not. And the answer is no, they cannot put a garbage can. That part of the street is a very narrow street for pedestrians and for the little truck that cleans the snow during the winter. It is not only the sidewalk is very narrow, but there is a mailbox as well. There is a bus stop where a lot of people stop by, and you have to let the pedestrians pass by. Also, there is a driveway entrance for cars. And in addition, there is a pole for Hydro-Quebec, and they just put an extra one that is leaning against it, so it takes quite a bit of space. So no, it is not possible to put a garbage can. However, there is one across the street that it could be used. So no, the answer is sorry, but it cannot be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you, Peter McLean. Question comes from Sherry McGurnan, which is a question that I think has also been asked once before, but I'm going to repeat it because we actually have a better answer now. First, thank you all for the wonderful work you have been doing, especially during this difficult time. I have noticed quite a few new apartments for rent listed in Montreal-West, the new building at the bottom of Brock South. I was under the impression that these apartments were actually in NDG. If they are in fact at Mo West, I'm assuming this is a big bonus for our budget. If they are not in Mo West, are they allowed to advertise that they are? As an example, Ms. McGurnan sends a link. Thank you and happy holidays. So we did follow up with Canada Post, and we followed up with the building owner. And no, those buildings are not in Montreal-West, unfortunately. So they know that they're in Montreal. They're not in Montreal-West. And apparently the changes are going to be made at Canada Post as well as of December. So sometime in the next little while, they'll be making an adjustment to the way those things are being listed. Thank you very much for your question, Ms. McGurnan, Cherry McGurnan. The last question comes from JJ Heisler at 25 Fenwick. Good evening. Can the town please provide commentary on the progress of outdoor skating rinks in light of the current COVID-19 situation? Will they be completed, and what is the timeline? Thank you. Councillor Yulin, please.
Certainly. Thank you for your question, JJ. Well, so I'm happy to let you know that as of tonight, they're going to start watering the rinks because I guess, unfortunately, it's getting cold enough to be able to do that. So the creation of ice will start tonight. As you may know, it takes several days of quite freezing temperatures in a row in order to get any kind of decent ice. So it's too early to say whether the rinks would be ready for the holidays. It's really very much weather dependent. But just to tell you that we are starting them tonight, and you know, if all goes well, in a week or two, there'll be ice surface to skate on. But that also depends not only on having several nights that are freezing in a row, but also having the temperature continue to be cold enough to maintain the ice. So we've had an unseasonably warm period lately, and it's hard to know what's going to happen there. You can find the schedule and conditions of the rinks, all the outdoor rinks on the website. So that's once the rinks are up and running, you'll be able to find it there. It's worth noting that under the red zone that we are now, there will be only skating allowed on the rinks with all the physical distancing measures in place. No hockey, no team sports, but ordinary skating will be allowed on all the rinks unless we reduce the virus numbers enough so that we're no longer in the red zone. That's going to be the case for the foreseeable future. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks very much for asking, JJ.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thank you for your question, JJ Heisler. We're going to move now to Administration and Finances, approval of disbursements for the period of November 27th to December 9th, 2020.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the list of accounts payable from November the 27th to December 9th, 2020, totaling $564,584.06, be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. All in favor, please?
Aye.
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 Very much. 9B, a subsidy application using the gas excise tax. If I could have somebody move the motion, and then I'll explain how it applies to us.
Okay. Whereas the town has taken cognizance of the guide concerning the payment terms of the government's contribution within the scope of the program regarding gasoline tax and the contribution of Quebec Tech for the years 2019 to 2023. Whereas the town must follow the applicable terms of this guide in order to receive a contribution in the amount of $1,974,983, as confirmed by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for the carrying out of sewer and aqueduct lines renewal work. Therefore, I move that the town of Montreal-Ouest undertake to comply with the applicable content of the guide mentioned in the preamble, that the town accepts and agree to be fully and solely liable and to exonerate the Canadian and Quebec governments, as well as their ministers, officers, employees, and agents in the event of any claims, requests, losses, damages, and costs of whatever nature arising from bodily injuries to third party, including death, and material losses or damages to property that might be attributed to a deliberate or negligent behavior, directly or indirectly linked to capital expenditures realized for the proceeds from the funding received under the TEC 2019 to 2023 program. That the town approve and authorize the sending of the work program enclosed with this resolution, file number 1166047, version number 1, and all of the required documentation to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing in order to receive the contribution of which it was notified, as mentioned in the preamble. That the town undertake to reach the minimum level of investment in terms of municipal infrastructure, that is, to spend at least $50 per person per year during the 5 years of the program. And last, that the town undertake to inform the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing of any modification that might be brought to the said work program approved by the present resolution.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I just wanted a little explanation. The tech money is money, the gas excise tax money that comes from the federal government, but is being administered as normal here in Quebec via the provincial government. So this is money that's coming to the town. It comes to every town. We don't actually have to apply for it. Part of this resolution here says that we hold them, obviously, they don't have any responsibility if something goes wrong with our work, obviously. But that we're also committing to contributing at least $50 per person per year. And for Montreal-Ouest, I guess that corresponds to $250,000 a year. We've been spending over $1 million every year on our infrastructure work, trying to catch up. So the work this year, the amount this year that we're receiving for this period, this 4-year period, is almost $2 million, $1.974 million. And a good chunk of that is going to be earmarked for the work to be done on Easton, as was mentioned before. We'll be reconstructing Easton for the whole length, from Ainsley all the way down to the tracks.
Fenwick.
Excuse me.
Fenwick.
I apologize, Councillor Yulin. Councillor Yulin's excited because it happens to be her street. So it's going to be Fenwick. I apologize. Fenwick from Ainsley all the way down to the tracks. We've had some issues there with the piping. So the piping is going to be changed, the foundation, the road, the sidewalks as normal. All right. So that work's going to be coming in 2021, all going well without any other issues. All right. C, transfert budgétaire au surplus affecté.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'accepter les transferts budgétaires suivants selon la recommandation du trésorier du surplus libre 55-991-0000 au surplus affecté 55-992-0000. 25 000 $ contingence hivernale, 40 000 $ élection municipale.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux avoir de l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Merci. So what we're doing, folks, is we're taking some money from the unaffected surplus and we're earmarking it for $25,000 is going to go into a contingency fund if we happen to have a particularly nasty winter, and $40,000 of that is being earmarked for the municipal elections that are coming up in November 2021. Okay. D, working fund anticipated reimbursement.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, whereas it is deemed appropriate to proceed with paying back some monies in the working fund as of December 31, 2020. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, I move number 1 to authorize the anticipated reimbursement of the working fund for the balance of the following financial commitments. A backhoe loader, resolution number 2020-0427-008 for the amount of $213,702.05. An asphalt trailer, resolution number 2020-1130-010 for the amount of $40,918.88. A Ford F-150, resolution number 2020-1130-011 for the amount of $36,057.96. And finally, Mr. Mayor, F-250, resolution number 2020-1130-012 for the amount of $53,568.82, and that this be charged the total amount thereof of $344,247.71 to the operating surplus.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks. And as Councillor Mazzoni read in the motion, this is some money that the treasurer has determined that we can take and repay back ahead of time our working fund. We have the working fund set up specifically for these things to be able to borrow money from ourselves. And now we're in a position to repay some of it now. Okay, grants for 2021, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the town of Montreal-West award the following grants for the year 2021. The Montreal-West Children's Library, $87,159. The Montreal-West Public Library, pardon me, $87,620. The Informer, $16,000. The Community Services Council, $5,000. And Dr. Robert Drummond for the Roots and Remembrance Program, $250.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, all in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And just so you know, folks, that these recommendations come to council from the Community Services Council. These groups go and present their grant requests to the Community Services Council. They make a recommendation. It comes to the town acts on it. Okay, number 10, the Urban Department, 10A, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move first to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on December 9th, 2020. Second, to approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 481 to 483 Hudson, replacement of the front doors. 38 Banstead, replacement of 9 windows. Third, to defer the examination of the following plans to a next meeting of this council in accordance with the recommendation of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 38 Banstead, replacement of front door. 38 Campbell, construction of an extension on the side and replacement of cladding material around the front door.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, all in favor, please?
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks. Minor exemption request. So this is like the last step of a minor exemption request. I'm going to ask Councillor Feeney just to give us a brief summary before we go on and move the motion, please.
Okay, this is for the a real estate transaction for a sale of a property. The property was only 0.21 meters from a lateral setback, and the actual requirement in the bylaw is 1.2 meters. It could have been that the bylaw has changed since that was built, but in any event, in order to normalize this, we have to give a minor exemption to reduce the requirement by 0.99 meters so that it is normalized.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can you move the motion, please?
Yeah, I move that the plans and requests submitted to the November 11th, 2020 meeting with the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2010-002 and G18-0005 for the following minor exemption from the Schedule of Uses and Standards in effect under section 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 4.57 Westminster North in zone RA1 to normalize a lateral setback on the southeast side of the main building, which is of 0.21 meters, while the minimum setback is 1.2 meters in that zone. The consequence being to reduce this requirement by 0.99 meters.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. And just to be clear, that's not 4.57 Westminster, that's 457 Westminster.
Yeah.
Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Number 11, Public Works and Ecological Transition Support Services, a partnership with CMTL. If I could have somebody move the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the town of Montreal-West intends to adopt a comprehensive waste management policy in the near future, whereas there is a partnership between the agglomeration of Montreal and Consultation Montréal, CMTL, whereas CMTL has developed an expertise in the field of ecological transition, especially with its program, I'm gonna get this, Accepteur.
Accelerator.
Okay, whereas CMTL submitted a service offer to provide the town of Montreal-West with coaching on matters of ecological transition. Therefore, I move to accept the service offer of CMTL for ecological transition support services and to authorize the Director General to sign any necessary documents to implement this resolution.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Can I have a seconder, please?
Mute.
I second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks. CMTL, the Concertation Montréal, is a group that's being funded large part by the agglomeration. And this is, I used to sit on that board, and they have tons of expertise in food, they have in food banks, they have it in ecological transition, they have it in many, many different realms. And this is just us taking advantage of a program that already exists to be able to help us with this ecological transition. All right, so B now is the traceability analysis of construction, renovation, and demolition, CRD waste, a partnership with MyTax.
Monsieur le maire, considérant l'intention de la Ville d'adopter une politique stratégique en matière de gestion des matières résiduelles, considérant l'absence de données de traçabilité des résidus de construction, de rénovation et démolition, CRD, sur son territoire, considérant qu'il est pertinent de réaliser un état des lieux afin d'établir le suivi de ces matières pour évaluer si elles se rendent où elles le devraient et s'il existe des débouchés pour elles sous l'angle de l'économie circulaire, considérant que MyTax est un organisme à but non lucratif qui propulse la recherche et le développement en reliant l'industrie et des villes avec les meilleurs établissements post-secondaires afin de résoudre des enjeux d'innovation au Canada et dans le monde, considérant que MyTax propose de jumeler la ville de Montréal-Ouest avec le professeur Chun-Jang An Peng, médecin ou docteur, de l'Université Concordia afin que soit encadrée de manière académique une étude réalisée par une ou un étudiant ou étudiante pour la réalisation d'un état des lieux relatif à la gestion des résidus CRD sur le territoire de la ville, considérant que MyTax s'engage à verser une somme de 7 500 $ plus les taxes applicables afin de financer partiellement cette étude. Monsieur le maire, je propose, numéro 1, que la Ville s'engage à réaliser le projet Accélération et de verser la contribution financière de 7 500 $ plus les taxes applicables conformément au calendrier des paiements du programme MyTax Accélération. Et finalement, que la directrice générale soit autorisée à signer tous les documents nécessaires à cette fin.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Je peux voir de l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
And this is another example where we're getting together with Concordia University in this thing to do a little bit, to have a student do a little bit of research under the guidance of Dr. Chung-Yang An Peng to do a little traceability to find out what happens to our residuals when we have demolition, renovation, or construction on the town. What actually happens to these materials? Are they being disposed? Are they being recycled? Are they being reused? All right, so that's what's in that thing there. Nothing under human resources or appointments. We're going to go right to councilors' reports, and we're going to start with seat number 4, Councillor Torres, reporting on matters pertaining to the environment, public works, and buildings.
Good evening. Bonsoir à tous. On December 8th, Public Works rebuilt and asphalted a catch basin at the intersection of Westminster and Radcliffe. The base had shifted and it was not taking the rainwater anymore. All of the holiday lights and decorations were installed in the commercial sector and around the town hall. There were also a couple of days in which a few centimeters of snow had fallen. They were cleared and salted. They cleared and salted all the streets and sidewalks. Lastly, all of the regular and daily, weekly duties like garbage collection, branch pickup, and other special pickups and cleaning of all municipal buildings were completed. As the mayor mentioned before, and so did Councillor Feeney, I'd like to tell you or confirm or reiterate that next year the major infrastructure work will take places on Fenwick between the track and Ainsley. That it means that the sewer and aqueduct line will be completely redone. Same thing with the surface. And even between Westminster and the end of town, which is at the beginning of the bridge, the surface will be redone as well. Those are the big 2 jobs for infrastructure for next year when it comes to road infrastructure. Secondly, for those of you who don't know, this starting on December 24th, Garbage collection will be on Thursdays instead of Fridays. Other collections, compost and recycling, will stay the same day. But beginning on December 24th, garbage pickup will take place every Thursday. If there are any issues with any of the waste collection services, you can call Public Works by filling up an online form on the town website or send them an email at publicworks@montreal-west.ca. One reminder is I would like to remind all of residents that with the winter season upon us, to please be vigilant of the blue colors out plowing the snow with the heavy equipment. Respect the orange no parking signs when they are up on your street, and try to park at least 6 inches away from the sidewalk to give them enough clearance space. If all of these measures are taking it will make the snow removal process a lot more smooth and efficient. This is it for me tonight. I would like to wish you all a nice and healthy holiday season filled with love and hopes for the most wonderful new year. Je vous souhaite un temps de fêtes rempli de paix, amour et d'espoir. Merci à tous et bonne soirée.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Reporting from seat number 1 on matters pertaining to public security and to special projects fundraising, Councillor Dino Mazzoni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, everyone. So this is my report. It's going to be a short one. I know the mayor likes those. So a departmental activity summary for November 2020. On top of their regular duties, our PSOs have continued assisting our building inspector this month, as well as verifying for work without permits, and in cases with permits that the work was in conformity with our bylaws. The PSOs were able to actually find someone that was cutting down a tree without a permit. Big no-no. One fine was issued for the use of a leaf blower almost 2 weeks past the November 15th deadline. And finally, one fine was issued under the nuisance bylaw to a property owner for storing a non-functional vehicle with missing parts on his or her property. And this was after, by the way, a 2-week warning that was issued. Really nothing to relate to you in terms of crime stats. That's a good thing. In terms of notable PSO calls and events, only really 2 that I want to bring up. One is actually really egregious and disgusting. On December the 6th, we were informed that someone had purposely left pieces of meat full of needles or nails near shrubbery in order to hurt dogs around the NDG Mo-West area near Fielding and Brock. Our PSOs have been keeping an eye out, and residents are absolutely encouraged to immediately call 911 if they see someone dropping these baited meat pieces in the area. And finally there, in terms of a notable call, on December the 6th, same day, we also received multiple calls concerning Butters, our new resident wild turkey. Since Butters is a wild animal, there's not much we can do about his presence unless we find him injured, and only at that point can he be transported to the SPCA, which is the same for any other wild animal. We actually talked about that in our last council meeting. People are urged to keep their distance as wild turkeys can be aggressive if provoked. And by the way, Butters did make the news in the Montreal Gazette. And finally, announcements to be made just generally at large regarding snowstorms and parked vehicles. Now, of course, due to the pandemic and the fact that many people are working from home, we ask that all of you who park on the street pay particular attention to the street signage after any significant snowfall. Please be on the lookout for those temporary orange no parking signs. When these signs do appear, it's really forbidden or certainly illegal to park on the street between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. when these snow removal operations routinely take place. Those cars that are parked illegally actually slow down our snow removal operations, and we will issue fines up to $154 if that vehicle needs to be towed. So let's just try to avoid it and keep that money in your pocket for the holidays. Really nothing more to add. I want to just extend to all of you happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Joyeux Fête, and to pick up on the mayor's excellent trilingual message for these tidings. Buon anno a tutti quanti. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. Reporting from seat number 2 on matters pertaining to communications, recreation, and culture, Councillor Elizabeth Yulin.
Hello, good evening. So again, like Dino, I'll try to make this message short. We've only had a couple of weeks since our last meeting, so there's not as much to report, but let's get started. Registration for the Winter Fitness and Community Center programming is ongoing, and the session will start on January 11th. The seniors had their first Zoom get-together last Friday. It was a holiday cocktail. Many are still learning how to use the service, and so our recreation staff is giving them a hand with that. In special events, the CP Holiday Train came to town virtually this year on December 12th, and if you want to check it out, you can have a look at our website. And currently, we've got a host of unique holiday activities going on, including contests for the best storefront, house decorating, snowmen, and some ugly holiday sweaters. So if you want to enter any of those contests, the deadline is the 18th of this month. So get your entries in soon. The kids should also check out our Elf on the Shelf, Bench on the Bench activity. Information about that can also be found on our website. At the arena, we're offering family hockey ice time and free skate bookings, in addition to themed skating weekends. So you can book your spots on Amelia, and you'll also find the arena holiday schedule there as well. For outdoor skating, as I mentioned in question period, when JJ asked the question, we'll be starting to water the ice surfaces, actually starting tonight. And we're going to keep it up as long as weather permits. So hopefully our fingers are crossed that there'll be some solid ice for the holidays, but we'll see what the weather sends us. Switching to the communications file now. I'd just like to report that the department has been working on a number of important files, including the creation of a better public consultation tool and also an upgraded town signature, among many other things. And of course, managing live broadcasts like this one that you're listening to now. It's been a particular challenge, as you might imagine, during COVID to keep people informed about all the various directives and changes we're having to deal with. Finally, like my fellow counselors, I want to take the opportunity to wish you and your family a very happy holiday season, and that make an appeal as well to ask you to remain vigilant and safe, despite the inevitable temptations to have a normal gathering. We really want to keep to our households for now, because essentially 2020 is almost over. I know we can't wait to see it go, but we all want to be back together again in 2021 to celebrate. So just please be careful out there. Anyway, thanks very much for having a listen to our meeting.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. And reporting from seat number 3 on matters pertaining to urban planning, finance, administration, and human resources, Councillor Colleen Feeney.
Good evening, bonsoir. I'll try to be fast as well. We'll start with finance. Well, as you can imagine, the finance office was very busy with the budget for 2021, the 3-year capital investment plan, the 2020 forecast, and all the year-end activities. The town hall will be closed from Thursday, December 24th till Monday, January 4th inclusive. It will reopen on January 5th, 2021. Hopefully, many of you here watching tuned into the budget meeting, but if not, both the meeting and the budget presentation are available on our website for you to view at your convenience. Just to reiterate that in our pledge to always try to keep the increases less than the cost of living, the tax increase for the average tax for the average priced home in Montreal-West for 2021 will be 0.99%. And we've kept that amount for the average businesses as well. The 2020 tax bills will be sent out on January the 26th, and the due dates are February the 25th for the first installment and May 27th for the second installment. In terms of business conducted at tonight's meeting, we heard about the working fund. Just wanted to mention also that when Councillor Mazzoni, I think, was passing the resolution, no, it was Councillor Yulin on the transfer of expenses for the election expenses and the winter contingencies. That was another measure that was taken so as to ensure that the budget was kept a little bit lower this year. So instead of putting those in the operating budget, luckily, since we've had some surpluses, we were able to use our surplus for those extraordinary expenses, which will not be recurring, we hope, every year. So that was that's that. Also, in terms of the meeting disbursements, this month we had disbursements of actually for the past 2 weeks, I'm sorry, disbursements of $564,000. About a third of that was for one of the final bills for the infrastructure work on Crestwood and Wolseley. That was about $172,000. Also, as usual, deductions at source and utilities made up another $110,000. After that, public works was $140,000, and the main expenses there were $36,000 for outside contracts. About half of that was taken up with money for working on water main breaks and also for hydrant inspections. Garbage pickup, that's garbage, compost, and recycling, was $32,000. And also there was a lot of money spent on vehicles, and that included some tuning up for the winter and winter tires, etc. That was $22,000. And in terms of recreation, there was just one major expenditure, and that, as would be expected, is getting the ice and everything ready in the arena, the preparation for the ice, Zamboni, etc. There were costs in the arena of approximately $36,000 this past period. So that's it for the disbursements. If I move on now quickly to urban planning, there were 9 permits issued in the past 2 weeks. And just to let people know that because there is less work that is done in the winter months, PAC will only be meeting once for the months of January, February, and March. And the meetings have already been posted on the website, as well as the deadlines. So the deadline for the January meeting of January 20th, the deadline for submissions for projects there is January the 6th. And finally, in terms of the Seniors Committee, the MATA policy, I am very pleased to say that the MATA policy and plan of action has been completed. We are expecting delivery of the printed copies tomorrow in the town, and they will be distributed to all Montreal-West households this week, it's supposed to be. This is the culmination of 2.5 years of work on the part of a very, very dedicated steering committee. And I want to thank them again, as I always do, for the incredible work that they have done. I'm happy to say that a lot of them are going to be staying on to be part of the Seniors Advisory Committee to follow up on this plan. This plan will help guide the town over the next 5 years in terms of the kinds of policies to make it more senior friendly. But rest assured that those actions are also going to make it age friendly. They're going to make it a safer, more secure community for all of us, not just for seniors. So when you get the plan, I hope you take the time to read it. And I also want to thank everyone in the town and their support of the mayor, council, and town administration for their support all the way along in this really major project. So on that note, that's it. One big job over at the end of the year. I want to wish everybody happy holidays. And as all my fellow councillors have said, please stay safe, stay healthy. We want to see you all in 2021. Joyeuses fêtes. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. So we're going to move on to deposit of documents. As of today, all council members have filed their statements of pecuniary interest. And une copie des registres de dons, marque d'hospitalité et avantages d'une valeur supérieure à 200 piastres reçus par des membres du conseil fut déposée. Nulle mention de dons n'y figurait. So just to let you know that that part there says that we have to report any gift, hospitality advantage of anything over $200 received by members of council. We have to deposit that, and unfortunately, we didn't receive a single thing. So that's it for that. Notice of motion reading and adoption of bylaws. 16A, adoption de règlement numéro 2020-008, règlement sur les taxes de la ville de Montréal-Ouest pour l'exercice financier 2021. S'il vous plaît.
Yes, and this is the tax bylaw that sets the mill rates for residential, more than 6, and commercial, etc. Attendu que, dispense du lecteur ayant été demandé lors de l'avis de motion, Une copie de ce règlement ferait mise aux membres du conseil en conformité à la loi et que ceux-ci, déclarant en avoir pris connaissance, renoncent à la lecture du dit règlement. Je propose que le règlement numéro 2020-08, intitulé Règlement sur les taxes de la Ville de Montréal-Ouest pour l'exercice financier 2021, soit adopté.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, j'appuie la proposition.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci tout le monde. Second question period. I'm looking now at my inbox and I do not see any questions there. So there have been no questions asked during our meeting. Alors, je demande pour la levée de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Et c'est ça. Alors, ça met fin à notre ordre du jour pour la journée, pour notre réunion, la dernière réunion de l'année. Alors, je vous souhaite des joyeuses fêtes en sécurité et en paix, comme nous avons tout dit. That's the end of our meeting, folks. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see each other in 2021. Our first meeting will be towards the end of January 2021. So everybody stay safe and stay healthy and enjoy as best you can the holiday season. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.